Carlos Prates seems to be interested in fighting Leon Edwards. He reposted this photo of him and Leon to his Instagram story. It says, "How's this welterweight clash go?" Carlos added a soon emoji. Who do you guys think would win that one? Post your opinions in the comments. Daniel Cormier explains why he thinks Ilia Topuria should win Male Fighter of the Year over Alex Pereira. On Good Guy Bad Guy, DC said, "I don't know if one of Pereira's wins or three of Pereira's wins outweigh in terms of importance that the two that Ilia Topuria had. Pereira beat two former champions in Jamal Hill and Yuri, and then he beat a guy in Khalil Roundtree who's really good and was ranked 7th, right? Went up in the rankings after he lost. Ilia Topuria beat Alexander Volkanovski, considered one of the greatest featherweights of all time. He's number 2 to Jose Aldo, and that's partly because no one will ever go above Jose Aldo because all he did to start the division. He beat Max Holloway, the 3rd best featherweight of all time. In terms of importance, he literally went in 1 year, Chael, and did away with the last 8 years of the division. He went and took care of everybody from 2015 to 24 all in 1 year, because from that time to now, it was always Alex Volkanovski or Max Holloway. It is not like those two guys were not fighting at the top of the sport anymore. Volk had just fought Islam for the lightweight championship in less than a year ago. He had fought him competitively. Max Holloway had just won the BMF title in what is, in many people's opinion, the knockout of the year over Justin Gaethje, a guy at 155 pounds who's in the top 3. He's beating these greats when they are still in their prime, and they're still fighting at the highest level. So in terms of importance, in terms of being in there, beating the best back to back, but not only beating them, knocking them out, for me it's Ilia Topuria, hands down. Bryan Battle reveals he had to pay 30% of his purse for missing weight in his last fight. Bryan fought Randy Brown at UFC 310 and won via split decision.
This time it was, so with the turnaround, I went into my normal procedure, like leading up to it, but with the amount of time is like, I just like, the normal procedure didn't cut it. Like I just like wasn't losing. I had to drop calories earlier, you know what I'm saying? So
what you got to do? 20%? Was it 20% or 30%? I forget. I've never missed weight, so I don't know.
You don't gotta say it like that.
You don't have to say it like that.
Well, I'm just,
don't be disrespectful to our guest. He took the time
he set me up for that one.
And be on this podcast. You were a 2-time champion in 2 different organizations. You were an icon. That could hurt him.
So next time, I'm gonna remember that. I can't let Rampage down. You know what I'm saying? It's like that song.
I wasn't being disrespectful.
I can't let Rampage down.
I really wanted to know, what is it, 20%?
That I lost?
That you have to give to your opponent?
30%.
Oh my God, damn, that hurts.
No, it was, they brought in the contract. They brought in the new contract, like right before the fight. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in the lock, and it's like, once again, this is my first time on a pay-per-view, so it's like they had like the actual like locker with your name on it. And so I'm like, oh, this is like some real like hell yeah. But I'm sitting there and the UFC employee comes in. He's like, hey, when you get a chance, I need you to look at this and sign this real quick. He's like, I hate to be the guy, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm looking at you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at it, and it's like when I first see the first chunk, which is like if I would have lost, I was like ah, and then I flipped it over and I saw like if I would have won, I was like ah, but that's my fault.
Eddie Alvarez doesn't think the UFC will ever let Conor McGregor get out of his contract. Back in 2023, Conor revealed he only has 2 fights left on his current contract. Speaking to MMAfighting.com, Eddie said, realistically, I think he still has 2 fights left on his UFC contract. I just know how difficult it is, especially when you're that valuable to a company. I haven't been as valuable as Conor, but back when I was basically Bellator's main guy, I know how difficult it is to get out of those contracts. They don't make it easy, making the company hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't think it's going to be an easy exit. I think he still has 2 more fights left with the UFC, and I'm not sure how old Conor is, but he's not getting any younger, so it's going to be tough for him to fight those fights out and move on to another contract. So realistically, I don't know if he could fight BKFC, and if he does, it'll maybe be when he's older. Alan Jouban says even if Alex Pereira retires tomorrow, he has already secured a spot in the UFC Hall of Fame. On Sirius XM, he went on to say if he retires tomorrow, nobody in the history of the UFC has done what he has done in such a short amount of time. Look at what he has done. It's unprecedented, so I would say yes. Not only is he a guy that has this mystique, he has this following of kids and people of all ages, and he has carried the UFC on his back. But the one thing that he does better than anybody else in the UFC is that he puts a bow on it and he finishes fights. You put Alex Pereira in the main event slot on any card, any time of the year, people are going to leave there with a smile on their face because they got to see a knockout. They got to see a devastating knockout early. You don't have that trust in a lot of other fighters. If they have a draw, a big name, you can't guarantee that with Khabib or Islam or some other type of fighter. But you know with Alex Pereira is in there, somebody's going to get knocked out. And that's all we're going to be talking about the next day. Drake says Nate Diaz is his favorite UFC fighter.
So about UFC, who's your favorite UFC fighter? All time.
Okay, I'm gonna answer this question strictly based on just somebody who, to me, is the most thorough. Like, you just can't get more thorough than this guy. You know, it's like I respect people that you are where you're from, and nothing else can change you. The money, the wins, nothing. So to me, it's Nate. That's my favorite fighter, because Nate is just crazy through and through. Stockton, shout out to Stockton. Yeah. Obviously, of course, like I have other favorite fighters, like, you know, like I love Conor with all my heart. That's
of course.
Tom Aspinall gives his thoughts on Dricus Du Plessis. Tom says Dricus' fighting style is weird, and it's hard to figure out exactly what he's good at. However, there's certain things you can't see by just watching him fight on video.
DDP is someone who I believe is the first champion from South Africa, bringing out a whole new buzz to that continent, the continent of Africa, South Africa in particular. In my opinion, he fights so weird. Like, from the outside looking in, it's difficult to figure out what he's good at, but there's some things, and anyone who's had an MMA fight or any kind of combat sports fight will know there's certain things that you see on the video that you don't see when you're in the cage with him, when you're in the ring with him, when you're in the octagon with him. There's certain things that the naked eye from the outside cannot see. You can only feel it when you're in there. Strength being a massive thing. You can't see strength really. Speed, timing, these are all things that are difficult to see from the outside. The presence of your opponent in there is difficult to see from the outside. It's only something that you can really feel. So you got a big win there against Sean Strickland earlier on in the year, and then he came back to defeat a legend in Israel Adesanya. Like, two great performances, and I am really excited to see how he pushes on in 2025 as a defending champion again when he fights, I believe, Sean Strickland early in 2025. That's a fight that I'm really looking forward to.
Colby Covington gives his take on Chael Sonnen, saying he was going to throw in the towel during the Joaquin Buckley fight. Colby says he believes Chael really cares about him, and he knew he couldn't see due to the cut on his eye.
Wesley, opinion on Chael throwing in the towel? I mean, my opinion is Chael cares about me. He's a real one. If he was throwing it in, it's because he knows I couldn't see. He knows that the where the cut was at, it was bleeding into my right eye, and I couldn't see. I was seeing 3 or 4 different people. So that's what that guy, he couldn't do nothing to me, not even seeing anything, seeing blurry, coming off the couch. Like, look at how far my back was against the wall. But I did it for the company, like I said, guys, so don't hear me complaining. I don't want sympathy, but I did that for the company. But he knew that I couldn't see. So if he was going to do it, it's because he cares about me, and he just knows that I couldn't see, and it was going to be tough to overcome. But I thought I was coming on stronger, and I feel like they were going to have to throw in the towel for Buckley by round 5. So it sucks. It's unfortunate.
Dewey Cooper has responded to Sean Strickland going off on him back in 2023. Sean had some harsh words for Dewey at the UFC Vegas 76 post-fight press conference. Sean took issue with the way that Dewey was coaching Marvin Vettori, who lost to Jared Cannonier a few weeks before this interview. He said that Instagram, TikTok, and the younger generation make it easy for people to be quote-unquote fraudulent
Dewey Cooper is like the TikTok coach. He's a guy that's like, all right, guys, I'm gonna have a speech. Everybody settle down. Give me a camera. Like, he wasn't a great kickboxer. Man, I'm gonna have to fight this guy when I see him now. I'm gonna see this guy in the gym. Me and him fighting. He wasn't a great kickboxer. He wasn't good at all. I mean, if you look at his record, it's all red. But for some reason, this man has a stable of fighters, and he's like a glorified cardio kickboxing coach. And I just don't understand how and this is what I'm talking about with you Instagram and you TikToker, you younger generation. Like, it's so easy to be a fraudulent mother. So the issue with Marvin is he went to Dewey Cooper's cardio kickboxing, and he's just been smashing pads. He's not getting better. He's not improving. He's not Marvin needs someone to break him down, to bring out the coloring book, to say, all right, Marvin, this is what you got to do. And I really think that after this fight, you know, maybe he sees a light and now he just goes full-time extreme, because he's not an extreme fighter. He may spar with us once or twice, but he's not an extreme fighter.
Dewey Cooper made an appearance on the Versus podcast with Eric Nixick this week and responded to Sean. He explains why he let the remarks go and didn't fire back at Sean.
Guys, a lot of people think that because of Sean's comments about me, like, oh, why you ain't do something? You're scared? I'm not scared of Sean, none of that. I can say it now. I'll tell the world. I never said this anywhere else. The reason why I didn't have some kind of outlandish rebuttal, go try to fight him like that, is because I'm a coach. And being a coach means you have to be accessible to your fighters. Jake Shields made the mistake of beating the dude up at the UFC PI. I was there. I'm the one with the yellow bad Nike on. But then he couldn't go to the gym anymore, which affects the fighters.
Yeah.
This is what I mean about not being selfish. It's not just about me. Sean say, oh, I suck, all this, whatever. If I fight him or go to Couture's and pull out the jammy and pistol whip him or something, I just ruined our relationship because I can't go to extremes anymore. Now I can't train the Basharat brothers, Twilight Timmy, all these guys. I do the UFC PI when I see them. I can't train none of my guys. So that's the reason why I let it go, because I know Sean means well. He's just an outspoken dude. He says how he feels. All that matters to me are my family, my fighters, and my friends.
And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. The first one's in reference to Colby Covington lashing out at the MMA guru. It's from Johnny Bronco. It says, losing a 10-8 to diabetes was a good one, not gonna lie. The second one's from Rigo MMA. It says, losing a 10-8 to diabetes. The skull emoji. And the final one's from C. Bryan. It says, Dricus is undefeated in talking shit. Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. And if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught up.